Hello, grade nines. Welcome to our culminating activity review. I'm really excited about this because it wraps up the end of this unit and gets us well prepared for our Unit 5 culminating activity. So, for starters, if you haven't signed up for the culminating activity and picking a date, please make sure you do so right here. But let's get right to the review. So you're going to go to classwork and you'll see all the stuff that we have planned here. We're looking for the review lesson, which of course you've already clicked on because that's how you got this video. But here are all of the activities. So I'm just going to open it up here. Mine's going to look slightly different than yours because I'm in the editing view, but you'll be able to see how it goes. Okay, so the review is all here on a PDF, and there are then a couple of things you're going to do. You're going to be doing part A, B, C, and D, and all of them are on different parts of the computer. So let's just click on this, and I actually have it already opened up, and you're going to see this. Now, I can tell you that this review looks exactly like what the actual culminating activity is going to look like. So you'll have a very good sense of what to expect when you are given that culminating activity later on. So you see there are 4 parts. Part A is you're going to answer on Google Slides. Part B, you're going to answer in Desmos. Part C, you're going to do on Graspable Math, or at least you have the option of doing it on Graspable Math. And part D, you're just going to answer some questions, which you can either answer right on the sheet. If you have a printer, you can print this out and answer it right on the sheet, or you can put this on your answers on a separate piece of paper and scan it and send it in to me. Okay, so that's how it works. And then you'll go back and click on each of the sections as you go through all the part A, B, C, and D. Okay, so let's just look at the first one then. So the first one is going to be some matching equations, some scenario graphs, and sketching that are all on the Google Slides. So you go back here and you're going to click on this. The one for the assessment is actually blue, but you're going to click on that. So I've already have it open and you'll see it here. Okay, so let's go through and review what we need to do for this. The first one is matching some equations with sentences. So Nathan pays $30 membership fee for the gym plus $12 per visit. So it's either this one or this one. You see they'll both have the 30 or the 12, but the $12 per visit means that that's the slope and the rate of change, and the 30 is the flat rate. So that's this one. So we can just click and drag it up here, and we've got that done. Bella charges $12 per hour for babysitting, so that's a rate of change of 12. So it's just this one, 12. There's no flat rate, so we can just go and click on it and put it in there. Lucas tutors math students, and he just charges a flat rate of $30. So that means it's just y equals 30. There's no per hour or anything like that. And that leaves us with this. Let's make sure Hannah walks dog. She charges $30 per hour plus a $12 sign up fee. So indeed, that does work. Okay, so your first part will just be matching up equations with sentences. Then we'll go off, and you, of course, will probably see this looks familiar. Cost to rent a snowboard plus $3 per hour. So you're going to fill in the table, make this graph, use these lines to draw the graph, write an equation, and decide this information. So let's first start by talking about this. If it's $10 to rent the snowboard and then $3 per hour is, this should probably say hours. Okay. So if you just rent it, it costs $10. That's your flat rate. And then it's $3 per hour after that. So add another $3 gets us 13. Add another $3 gets us 16. Add another $3 is 19. $3 more is 22 and 25. Okay, and then we can take these graph points and plot them on the graph. So we'll grab this. We know that this one starts at 10, so we'll just plot it at 10. One ride, I guess that should say hours as well. So 1 hour, I'll just change this to hours. I'll have that done for you when you get it. So 13, that's probably more like 14. So let's just move it down there to like 13. 16 for 2 hours is just above it. I feel like this has to go down further. 3 and 19, so that's just underneath the 20. Okay, that's maybe just a little too high. Okay, and remember, I know that it's actually 19, not 20, so I know that it's difficult to place these dots, so I'm not going to get too stressed out about it. It's about 22 is right there. This one, though, we can go put it right on the 25 spot. And there we have essentially our straight line. I know it's not going to be perfect because of the way these dots work, but that's okay. Oh, there's ours. All right, so now we have to decide, are we going to choose a solid line or a dashed line to draw this? And that will depend on whether it is discrete or continuous. And in this case, we have 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, 5 hours. You could probably rent for an hour and a half or an hour and a quarter. So when we're dealing with hours as our independent variable, then we can grab this solid line and put it there, and then grab the other end and draw it somewhere through there. I know, remember, it's not going to be perfect, so don't stress too much about it. There we go. Just kind of put these down a little bit. And that's pretty good. Okay. So that's why I chose a solid line, because you can go in between 2.25 hours. Sure, why not? Okay. So those are all possibilities. We can write an equation now too, based on this information. And so I'm just going to make it green. The equation will be starts at 10x but goes up by 3. We've done enough of these to know that it's 3h plus 10. You could choose x or whatever. I just chose h for hours. So 3x plus 10, it goes up by 3s, up by 3s, up by 3s. And then we can answer these questions. So this is positive or negative. Well, it's positive, and we're not going to worry about the reasoning, but as hours increase, the cost increases, so that's positive. Oops, I spelled positive wrong. Is it direct or partial? So direct goes through 0, 0. This one is partial, so partial. And then continuous or discrete. Well, we already talked about this one is continuous, because you can go in between the points and have like 1.2 hours and so forth. Okay, so there's a little refresher on how to do those, and of course how to work all the buttons and so forth. Continuing on with this, the Google Slides. So here we are now. We're going to sketch a few graphs. So we can use these points to help you map out the graphs and then the lines to draw them. The first one is y equals 1/3 x plus 2. So that tells us that the m is 1/3 and that's the slope is 1/3 and the y-intercept is 2. So that means we're going to start at 2. The y-intercept is 2. So along the y-axis, you can go there. Okay. And then if you're going 1/3, it's positive for starters. So you're going to rise of 1 and run of 3. So you're going to go from here and rise 1 and run 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I can take this guy and rise 1, run 1, 2, 3, and there it is. And there you can see our rise 1 and run of 3. And now you can just take your graph and try your best to draw it through here. Takes a little bit of practice. There, that's pretty good. Okay, and so we've rise 1, run 3, and it goes through 2, so that's the equation y equals 1/3 x plus 2. How about this one? Y equals negative 4x minus 1. So we can start, this one now has a y-intercept of negative 1, so that means we're going to start at negative 1. So it's going to start down here. And this one has a slope of negative 4. So the first thing you should notice is negative. So that means it's going down. And although it doesn't look like a fraction, negative 4 is the fraction negative 4 over 1. So you're going to go down 4 and over 1. So from here down 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 5, negative 5 and over 1. Okay, so we grab the second dot down 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, and we can get that spot right there. Okay, maybe just down a little bit further. Oh, too far, I think. There's pretty good. Okay, so down 4 over 1. All right, and so then we are going to take our line and draw it here. And, oh, definitely needs to be steeper than that. That's pretty good right there. Yeah, I think that's good right there. Okay, so negative 4x minus 1, it starts at negative 1 and goes down 4 over 1 and gets our next point. So there's those two sketches. Remember the special cases in case these pop up. y equals 3. That is just always y equals, negative 3. Y equals negative 3. Okay, and this has zero slope. So zero slope is the flat line. So the y-intercept is negative 3 and any other point. So I can take this dot and put it anywhere else along here because it's going to just be y equals 3. And y equals 3 is a horizontal line, so I'll just try and draw it horizontally and move it up. There, that looks pretty good. So that is y equals negative 3. And I could have put that dot anywhere because the slope is 0. And the opposite of that is x equals 2. That means the x value is always 2, and the y, it doesn't matter. Okay, so then we're going to go here and put this at 2. And again, I could put this anywhere along here, and I don't need to move this too much. I can just put it right there, x equals 2. If it was x equals negative 4, it would be a horizontal line, or a vertical line, here. And here the slope is undefined. Here the slope is 0. Okay, so when you do part A of this is going to be the matching, doing any scenario, and doing some sketches of graphs. All right, let's go back to our review. So that is all part A. Part B is at Desmos, and we're going to enter the code. Okay, so we're going to go back here, and I have the link to student.desmos. You can just click on it, or you can go straight there. And then I've filled in the code here. The code is JPNQ32. This code is only for the review. On the actual culminating activity, you will have a different code because you will have a different Desmos activity to do. Okay, but let's join it here. All right, and yeah, I'll just put that. My name is right there, so that's good. All right, so part B. So you see, answer all the questions and push submit when requested to. So again, we'll push next. So here we have a orange line traced out, and you need to write your equation y equals mx plus b to have this line. So it's the opposite of what we just did, where we had the equation and we had to graph it. So now we have the graph and we have to figure out the equation. So this one looks like has a y-intercept of 4 and goes down 1, 2, 3 and over 1. So down 3 over 1. So that sounds like negative 3 over 1, which is just negative 3. So y equals negative 3x. Don't forget your x because you have an equation. So that looks promising. And then where does this start? The y-intercept is 4. So I'm going to have a plus 4. Okay. So that's negative 3x plus 4. Please don't forget the x. If you just go and write that slope and stuff, and now it doesn't know what to graph. Okay, so negative 3x plus 4. That's that one. Here's another one down here. This one looks positive, and it starts at negative 2. And we're going to go up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is 1 over 4. Rise of 1, run of 4. And it starts at negative 2. So that sounds like a slope of 1 over 4x plus, well, and then a negative 2. So when we write this out, remember, if we are using fractions, you can just go 1 and then the divide bar and push 4. If you push x right here, you will get a very, very odd graph because the x is in the wrong spot. You see that? So I'm just going to delete that x and then move my cursor over 1 so it's outside of the fraction. Then I'll put my x. Now it looks more like a line. And the y-intercept is negative 4, so I don't need to write plus minus. I'm just going to simply write minus 2. Okay, I think I said 4, but it's negative 2. And there it is. So y equals 1/4 x minus 2. Oh, and this horizontal line here is just y equals 1. So that looks just like the one we had done here, a horizontal line, except this one was at negative 3, and this one is just at 1. So y equals 1. And that's it. You could put in 0x plus 1 and you would get the same thing, but we might as well just put in 1. All right, so those are your graphing parts, or coming up with the equations. And then here is a scenario that you're going to be writing about and making decisions and recommendations. So this one is about a limo rental. Zoe got the following prices to rent a limo for the prom. Limo A is $150 for the day plus $50 an hour for the driver. Limo B is cheaper for the driver but much more expensive fee for the day. Okay, so you move on to the next thing. We're going to write those equations out. So limbo A says write the equation for the fee structure. So the equation is 150 for the day plus $50 an hour. So $50 per hour is the slope. So this would be y equals 50x plus 150. Make sure you use an x and y when we're doing it in Desmos. Okay, so y equals 50x plus the 150 is just the flat rate just to rent the limo. And if you push submit, we'll get this graph. Then we'll go on to the next part, which will be plan B or limo B. And in this case, it is $25 an hour plus the $300. So this one is 25x plus the $300 flat rate. So a much higher flat rate, but a cheaper hourly rate. So it ends up being eventually being cheaper. Okay, so there's limo B. And then remember, we find the point of intersection. So you can read this right off the graph. It looks like at 6 hours and $450. Remember, you can just click on the dot and it'll actually tell it to you. Okay, so this case, 6 is the number of hours along the x-axis, and the y-axis is 450. And it'll plot the point and should be in the right spot. You saw when I just had the 45, it's in the wrong spot. Okay. All right, so make sure you have that properly so that that dot ends up in the right spot. Okay, so there is the point of intersection. And in this case, it means everything before that is going to be cheapest, and then after it, the blue one will be cheaper. Okay, so here's it is. Right, what plan would you recommend to Zoe? So remember, we're not actually going to pick a plan. We're going to make a recommendation. And our recommendations will always start with this. It depends. Okay, so I want that to be your first line. It depends. And then it depends on how many hours, right? So if you're going to go less than 6 hours, the green one is going to be cheaper, limo A. So if you need the limo for less than 6 hours, pick limo A. And if you need the limo for more than 6 hours, pick limo B. Okay, so E specific here, it's exactly 6 hours. So tell me, don't just say if you're going to rent for a little bit, choose this. If you're going to rent for a lot, to choose that. And also don't make a decision. Don't say, oh, the prom's only going to be 4 hours and then pick this one. You don't know that, right? You need the limo before or after. You don't know how long it's going to be. So it depends. Okay. It depends is the first line. If you need the limo for less than 6 hours, pick limo A in this case, and more than 6 hours, pick limo B. And then push submit. Make sure you push submit here so that I actually get to see your answer when you're done it. Okay, and that's it. So you're done this part, and then you're going to move on to part C of your review. So we'll go back, and again, there was the Desmos activity, and here we are, part C. So this one could be done on graspable math. So most people had success with graspable math, but if for some reason you don't feel comfortable using it, you can just copy these questions on a separate piece of paper and just write out your answers there. Okay, so don't feel that you have to do graspable math, but some of you have had success doing it, so then I would advise you go up and do it. Okay, so you're going to click on this link. All right, so here it is. And you can see the answers here. So we're going to, there's questions 7, 8, 9, and 10. My screen is nice and wide and I can see all of the screen there. If for some reason your screen is a bit smaller, something like this, maybe on a laptop, then you will have to make sure you go over to see all of the questions. Okay. The number of questions on the actual Comey activity matches what you see here. So make sure you see all of those questions. All right, so let's do this algebra. So solve these 3 algebra equations. So we're going to, again, you could subtract 4 from both sides, or you can drag. This is going to be up to you. So if you push equals, you can subtract 4 from both sides, And remember to pull the little white dot down, and then you can actually click on this and click on this to do the subtraction. Now we maybe don't need all of those steps. Maybe I'll just put this guy back. So it seems like +4 becomes -4. And then here, we're going to divide both sides by 3. So we're going to click equals and go divide by 3. All right, great. And you'll see that 3x equals this. And 22, unfortunately, 22 doesn't divide evenly into 3. So if you just double tap, then you can get the decimal. And we get our answer that way. Okay. The other way that you could do this is by dragging. So you remember, if you want to, you can do the subtract 4 from both sides like I did in that one, or you can drag in graspable math. So in this case, you can see that I have the 5x over here and the 2x here, and we want all the letters on one side and numbers on the other side. So I think I'm going to do a neat little trick here, and I'm going to move the 2x to this side because the 5 is bigger. So let's watch what happens. Now remember, if I try to just grab the 2x, only the 2 comes. Oh, and that's not right. So we're going to click and hold the shift key down. Remember, you hold the shift key. That'll get your 2x, and it's blue. And now if I move it over here, you can see that I have that subtract. Okay, so since it was a positive 2x, I can move it and become subtract 2x. And then if I clicked on the subtract sign, it actually does that math for me. Now I'd like to move the 6x, so I can actually, since it's only just the 6, I can go over and move it here, and it'll become subtract 6. So I'm subtracting 6 from both sides. All right, click on the operation to actually perform the operation. That's negative 15. And then here I'm going to click and hold the equal sign and push divide by 3, because I know I got to divide by 3 both sides. Click on each of these, and you can see that it gets x equals -5. Okay, and it's totally fine to have the x on this side. If you wanted, you could just click on it and have the x over on the other side. It means exactly the same. Okay, so there we've solved that one. Finally, the last one, C, is rainbow. So the 4 times the x and the 4 times the -1. So graspable math will allow us to do this by dragging. So if you click the 4 and move it inside, you see the blue highlights go with both of them because it knows it has to go with both. So I'm just going to go here. 4 times x, of course, is 4x. 4 times -1 is -4, and equals 8. Okay, and now you can either add 4 to both sides like we did over here, or I could just drag it. So I'm going to drag it across and then perform the operation. And now it's 12. Divide both sides by 4. So click and hold on the equal sign, divide by 4, equals, and then click and click on the division bar to actually get the x equals 3. Okay, so there are the steps. Now, if you feel more comfortable just writing these steps out on a piece of paper, you can just copy the question down, write them on the piece of paper, and that's fine. Okay, but this does show you the steps that are necessary to solve these 3 equations. Let's keep going then. Number 8, rearrange both of these, there are 2 questions here, into y equals mx plus b, then fix the slope and y-intercept. So right now it's not in y equals mx plus b, it is 2x plus y equals 8. To get in y equals mx plus b, I need to move this 2x. The opposite operation is to subtract the 2x. So I'm going to try and just drag it and move it, but remember, I'm going to have to push the shift key down and click on the 2 and the x in order to move them both. So if I move it over here and, oops, click the shift. Oh, I didn't quite get them both. Click the shift, there we go. And then move it, and I'm going to move it just in front of the 8x. Good, and I'll see -2x plus 8. Remember, the inverse operation of plus 2x is -2x. Now it is in y equals mx plus b form, and so I can write down the slope and the y-intercept. The slope is the coefficient of the x, so remember, to change this from a 0, you're going to click on the white dot right next to it, and then erase that and go -2. And then the same thing for the 0, the b equals 0, and I'll replace that with an 8. Okay, so I put it in y equals mx plus b form, and I've come up with the slope and the y-intercept. Similarly, I got to do the same thing for the b part. I need the y by itself. So this whole thing is going to stay here, and I got to move the whole negative 4x. So I could push shift and hold the negative, the 4, and the x, but if you just grab this negative, you see the 4x comes with it. So I can actually make that a little bit quicker. So I'll move and reveal that step. It was minus 4x, so the inverse operation is a plus 4x. And now it's not y equals mx plus b because it's got that negative 5. So I need to divide everything by negative 5. So I'm going to click and hold the equals, and I can push divide. And remember, it's not just dividing by 5, it's dividing by negative 5. All right, on this side, that's no problem. But over here, if I click on it, it's not going to do the division because you see the x and the 20 can't add together. They're unlike terms. But I can divide the negative 5 up. I can click and hold on the negative 5 and move it to the top until you see that blue under both of them. Now you can see them both happening. I can click on this equal sign to get a negative, and we don't like plus negative, so I'll just make it negative. Okay, so I'm going to move this up to this line here. Okay, to me that makes much more sense. And I'm not going to even show that step because of 20, a positive 20 divided by a negative 5 is simply negative 4. Okay, now this negative is here. That's okay. It can be here on the top, but just recognize that the slope is a negative slope. All right, so when we go over here to m, I'm going to change this 0. Again, click on the white dot. And the slope is negative 4 over 5. Okay, do not put the x. Remember, the x stays with the equation. The coefficient is the slope. The slope is just a number. Okay, I didn't write the x here, so I'm just going to write the negative 4 over 5 part. And b in this case is negative 4, so I just click on that and change this to negative 4 and push done. Okay, so again, that's how you can do it on graspable math. If you feel more comfortable just writing the equation down and rearranging on your own, then you can, and be sure you tell me the slope and the y-intercept for both. All right, that's number 8. Let's move on to number 9. So determining the x and y-intercepts. So before I do it here, I'm going to just remind you how you first learned how to do this. So I have the question here on my notebook page, and I'm going to write it out by hand first and then show you on graspable math. So these little titles are there, but I want to remind you of them. The x-intercept happens when y equals 0, and the y-intercept happens when x equals 0. So remember, if y is equal to 0, it's as if this whole part disappears. You remember I put my thumb over top of it? I've got a little box here. I'm just going to use that instead of a thumb here. So it's because the y is 0, it's as if it doesn't exist. So you're just left with 2x equals 12. So 2x equals 12, and then divide both sides by 2, and you get x equals 6. All right, let's go back to graspable math and see that done here. So it's the same idea. You can imagine that this 4x is not there, so I need to just write 2x plus 12. Now, remember, I discovered a problem by copying it down. So you're going to go to Insert, Equation, and then just write down what you have left over. So 2x equals 12. Done. It's going to pop up somewhere on the screen. If you just move to the left of the icon, you see I've got that little thing I can drag. So I've got 2x equals 12. And you see that's exactly the same as what I had there. Divide both sides by 2. So click and hold the equal sign. Divide by 2. Reveal that step. And then click on each of these division bars to actually divide. I don't need that step. X equals 6. Okay? And then similarly, the y part, we could cover up the y now, or the x, because x is equal to 0. And so you're left with just 4y equals 12. Divide both sides by 4, and y equals 3. Let's do that on graspable math. So I'm going to go Insert Math Equation and go 4y equals 12. I can even put the plus there if I feel nervous about it, because only the 2x disappears, but you'll see that plus 4y is just plain old 4y. Then click and hold on the equal sign to divide both sides by 4. Reveal that step, Click on the division bar to actually perform those operations, and you get the same answer of y equals x plus 3. Let's check out this one. 2x minus 5y minus 10 equals 0. So we got to find the x and y-intercepts. So here they are again. Remember that I can use this box again. The x-intercepts when y equals 0. That means this whole part's going to disappear because 5 times 0 is just going to be 0. And I'll be left with 2x minus 10. I'm going to add 10 to both sides and get 2x equals 10. Divide both sides by 2, and x equals 5. Similarly, if I'm doing the y-intercept, the x is 0. That means 2 times 0 is gone, and I'm left with this. Now be careful here. You see I'm still have that negative 5y left over, so negative 5y minus 10. I want y by itself, so I'm going to have to add 10 to both sides, just like I did before. And this becomes negative 5y equals 10. Divide both sides by negative 5, and be careful here. A positive 10 divided by a negative 5 gets me a negative 2. Let's see that math performed in graspable math. So again, I'm going to go insert math equation for the x-intercept. The y is gone, so I'm left with 2x minus 10. Okay, and I forgot my equal sign, so I just click on the white dot to edit that. Equals 0. All right, there we go. Okay, and now I can perform the math here. I can either add 10 to both sides. Let's do it on this one. Oh, wait, yeah. So I'm going to go add 10 to both sides. And unlike how I do it, remember the one I just showed you, I had the add 10 underneath. Graspable math can't do that. It just puts it to the side, which is fine. But let's actually perform the operation. So that's 2x, and of course that's 0 plus 10 is just 10. And now I got to divide both sides by 2. So click, undo that. Just click and hold onto the equal sign. Don't just click it. And then divide by 2. And x equals 5. Okay. Similarly, the y-intercept when x equals 0. So I'm going to go insert equation. And if the x is 0, I'll be left with negative 5y minus 10. So remember that negative is still there. Minus 10 equals 0. Oh, it's all the way over here. So I'm going to click and move it over here. I think this one, instead of doing the adding for both sides, I'm just going to use the graspable math feature and move the minus 10 over here and make that a plus 10. Okay, because it's the inverse operation. And then here I'll click and divide both sides by negative 5. And that should get me that same y equals 2 that I had when I did it by hand. Okay, so there are your steps in graspable math. If you would rather just take it and copy it out on a separate piece of paper, you're welcome to do that. All right, now we're on to 10. This is the last one on graspable math. At the fair, oh, look at that. We're talking about the fair again. Cost $2 per ride. I spent $16 at the fair and rode the ride 5 times. So the information here is giving me 1 point and the slope. Okay, so if you the last ones that we did in this unit were 2 points. This one is the day before where we had the slope and only 1 point. So we've already got half of this done. It says it's $2 per ride. So the M, we're going to click on the white circle afterwards, and we know that M is 2. So it's $2 per ride. And then this is our coordinates. So remember, it goes time first and money second. In this case, time is being measured by the number of rides, and the independent variable, or the dependent variable, is the $16. So if I click and hold on this and change this, this is going to be 5 rides, cost $16. Make sure you have that order down properly. All right, so now we can actually take the 2 and replace it with the M. Okay, so if I just click on the brackets, it becomes 2x, just like I expected. And then you can also substitute in the points to get your b value. So the x is 5, so that means this 5 can go in with the x, and the 16 can go in with the y. All right, and there we see those steps. So let's move down so we can see that one step. 16 doesn't have any operation, so if I just click on the brackets, it will disappear. But 2 bracket 5 means 2 times 5, and which is, of course, is 10. So I think I'm going to reveal that step, but then cover up that. Okay, you can reveal as many steps as you want. I just like to make it look like when I write it down. So 2 times 5 is 10, and 16 is itself. And then I'm going to subtract both sides by 10. So if I move it over across here, I subtract by 10, perform the actual operation, and I get that b equals 6. And so we must not forget to actually answer this equation. So what is the equation that represents this scenario? So we're going to go insert math equation, and we've got y equals, the 2 is the slope, so 2x, and we just figured out that the y-intercept is 6, so plus 6, and it pops up in a really good spot there. Y equals 2x plus 6 is our equation. So that means it must have been $6 to get in. You can always check this. 5 rides, 5 times 2 is 10, plus your extra $6 to get in meant that they spent $16. So that is working. Okay, when you are done this, you are going to push save. Okay, so you're going to push save. You won't have the option of pushing save. You will just be able to duplicate. So just push duplicate. I'm going to push save because I have that option. All right, now it is saved. When you are done saving it, then you're going to go to share. Don't do anything with Google Classroom. You're going to go to link. So you're going to go share and then link. Copy this link. So I'm going Control C, or you can use your right click, copy and paste. And then when you go to hand in your assignment, remember you're going to have a hand in window. You're going to submit that link. Okay, so just in case you've forgotten how to do that, you can make sure you do it there. Okay, so you'll go up and you'll have turn in work. You're going to click on that, and you're going to click that you're going to add a link, and then you paste that link in there, and you'll turn it in. Now, don't turn it in quite yet because you still have some more work to do. All right, so there is the graspable math part of your review. I'm going to pause right now, and the second half of the video will, or the second part of this review will be in another video.